Hi, I'm Arthur, and you all asked for it because we hit that milestone in the last video. We will talk about the secret fifth god of chaos in 40k, the one who is tied up in magic so foul as to make his very canon be up for debate. And I'm here to make a short, relatively short, concise video on if he is or is not canon. So who am I talking about? And why is there in fact a weird issue with his creation, and why am I staggering this out so much? That's because, Malice is a weird god, and I want to kind of build the mystique. One of my favorite videos I've ever made was on the Sons of Malice. That's a bit of a slow burn video, and I really thought that video was kind of fun. A lot of you agreed too. If you guys want a good companion piece, go look that video up. You're gonna know what I mean when you actually get to a certain point in that video. But that video is going to give a lot of context to the Sons of Malice, which we're not going to focus too closely on right now. We're going to be focusing on Malice as a whole. So, as we get into it, let's get into Malice a little bit here. So, Malice is an obscure god. He is a fun god. He is a god of chaos, anarchy, and hate. He's a god that if you've been in the hobby for a few months, you have probably heard of him, but that's the interesting bit about Malice. Though he is known and well regarded, as well as being given a great deal of fan art, he's one of the more unknown gods. But that in lies the most interesting parts about him. In 40k, there has been maybe 2 mentions of Malice in the last decade, if that. But the curiosity and the lineage of this myth is always there. So today, we are going to be covering a lot of the lore, the court cases, the intrigue, and the most interesting parts about Malice as a whole. Before I do, I want to ask you guys, hey, you, the fellas, I'm trying to hit 100,000 subs by the end of the year, and if I could do that, I'll probably put together some stupid special. I legit have no idea what I'll do for subscriber specials, so if you do subscribe, put a comment down below what you'd like to see, and if you are already subscribed, then big thanks, I guess. Also, comment what you want to see, and no, it will not be a face reveal. That's like maybe 500,000 subs at the earliest. Y'all ain't ready for the blindingly bright light that is my face. So, with me pleading out of the way, let's get into Malice. So who is Malice? What is Malice? What does Malice stand for as a chaos god, and where does he come from? There's pretty much a vague answer to all of these questions, but I'll give my own 2 cents as we go, give my own opinions, and give my own understanding of the canon. So the best place to start, so you can understand why it's vague and odd, is the origin of Malice. From a lore perspective, he's just a chaos god of black and white anarchy. There is good and evil, then there is Malice. Designers of the gods for 40k have described him as basically Khorne but more evil. And the way I interpret this is that Malice, as his name would imply, is the chaos god empowered by chaos. The worship of chaos as well as anarchy, but also hate. Hate is one of the most powerful emotions in the universe of 40k, yet no god has really kind of claimed it as their own. You could make the argument for Khorne, but Khorne is not hate, he's rage. There is a fine line dividing the two. You could say hate is close to obsession, and Slaanesh might govern over that as well, but not really. Nurgle is love, Tzeentch is bullshit, so hate kinda has to go somewhere, so why not to the god that his whole existence is based around him and his followers attacking absolutely everything. Malice is a god that strikes out at every other chaos god as well as the Imperium, and willingly attempts to kill Chaos Marines and the followers of Chaos Undivided even if they could help him. Hate is a powerful emotion, and the confusion therein is also important for the anarchy side of things. Malice is destruction, the desire for nothing but all things to be nothing. Thus, the followers of Malice do not last long, nor are they all that plentiful, but they are fun. I guess the followers of Malice are usually a lot more powerful at base than your usual Chaos Corrupted, as to gain Malice's eyes to court with ruination, and in order to survive that for long enough to gain further favor, you kinda need to be stronger than most, quite literally built different. And if you're not, I'm sorry, you're just going to be fuel for the fire of someone else. So that is the in-lore origin of Malice as best we could, which is super interesting, as a lot of that is my own speculation, based off of the things that we know. Because at base, we know that Malice exists, and he is a chaos god, and he has a black and white scheme. Not what he is in charge of, but that he is a chaos god. So I just filled in some blanks. Other than that, we also know that his favorite number is 11. That's kind of it. The real fun comes from when you look at the above game origin of Malice. See, Malice was introduced into 40k as a parallel with the Warhammer Fantasy version of Malal. See, Malal was the same deal, a chaos god that hated other chaos entities, and his followers would attack a lot of chaos strongholds. He was introduced into places, a preview for a Realms of Chaos book, and in a comic book. The comic was created first, if memory serves me correctly, where we follow an edgy protagonist who was a follower of the dread god Malal, sharing the same symbol of malice in the 40k setting. This individual goes on an adventure to stop Khorne cultists from overthrowing a temple to Malal. See, Malal was created by the comic artist in conjunction with the Warhammer team. The issue herein lies is he created it with comic creation ideals, meaning it was his intellectual property in his mind. He didn't really give it much thought on how a new chaos god would be incorporated into the setting of 40k as a whole. He just thought that it would be his. So when time came to distribute the rules and the lore from Malal, GW and this individual got into some legal trouble. Now, I'm not 100% familiar with the details itself, but it was basically an issue with who truly owned the intellectual property of Malal as a whole. So when the lore book for Realms of Chaos came out, Malal was not in it, even though he was previewed in it the months prior. And after that, furthermore, he was retroactively removed from the canon, meaning Malal is genuinely just not canon to Warhammer Fantasy or Age of Sigmar. There are no traces of him, to the point where there is already another 5th Chaos God, which is the Great Horned Rat. But with that being said, what does that mean for 40k? Surprisingly, not much, other than a fun story to kind of talk about when you play your Sons of Malice. As although Malice is Malal's counterpart, he is written differently enough that you can't claim thievery, though. Well, I mean, you totally can because it is, but who cares? I'm gonna pretend he exists in the setting anyway. It's not like you can stop me from painting my miniatures white and black, right? So to kind of go forward and kind of lay it down in simplest terms, that does not mean Malice is not canon to 40k. Malice is actually incredibly canon to 40k. We just don't know to the extent. We know the lore is real. We've gotten modern day lore for Malice the god. See, Malice is either a really weak parasite god or one of the strongest chaos gods, though not strong enough to overpower all four. Because we know that he has a bunch of specific rituals that no other chaos god has. They're very complicated and very costly, but they are expanded upon a little bit in the few stories that we have. His main cults are the Sons of Malice. These individuals are an old chapter Space Marines, and as I mentioned, they have their own video that you can watch if you want to learn more. They worship him and are pretty canon. They were mentioned relatively recently in the Fall of Cadia, and were actually doing a lot of work during that, fighting Cadians as they held a personal grudge against them. The biggest piece of lore for them is that we found out how they fell to chaos as a member of the Adeptus Praesus, and how they were basically forced to fall into the arms of a god of hate. They were basically narked by an inquisitor who saw them doing a victory screech ritual that involved a bunch of cannibalism and ritualistic wounding of themselves. I can't blame them. I mean, sometimes you do want a bit of a num-num on your fallen enemies, but some dude had to narc, you know. There wasn't really a trial. They were attacked by a small order of Sisters of Battle that were attached to that Inquisitor, and things just kept escalating from there, even though they tried to de-escalate a few times. The further lore we have is of one of the most dastardly rituals imaginable, where hate, anarchy, and betrayal is kind of the key thing here. I'm not going to read you the whole story of this. If you want a good, concise retelling, Wes Hammer did a really good story time read of this for his Malice and the Sons of Malice video. I'd recommend going to do that, or just reading the book yourself. But to kind of sum it up, every 100 years after the betrayal that the Imperium subjected the Sons of Malice, or what they were prior to that, to, they meet up on the ship that basically saved their lives. It was a massive battle barge known as the Labyrinth. There was a ritual that would be conducted to promote one member of their group to what is referred to as the Doomed Ones. The Doomed Ones are the chosen of Malice, these individuals who are essentially the top of the top, the best of the best. Outside of the Chaos Lord Chapter Master, they are the best that there is in that chapter. How the ritual goes is they enter a portal and enter a massive maze, because you know the ship is called the Labyrinth. This maze is infested with traps, chaos magic, the wackiest and worst shit you could imagine. Think chaos demons that we don't know anything about because it's with a chaos god that's very minor, as well as chaos mutants. It is revealed that only one person every 100 years can escape the maze after this ritual is conducted, and after that the portal closes for the next 100 years. So what ends up happening is if you leave, you are strong enough to leave. You have the favor of Malice, you're able to fight your way through and, you know, conclude the ritual and become one of the Doomed Ones. So there's a bit of a lie there, because the Doomed Ones are the most cherished and worshipped of Malice, but they're not exactly used as warriors as much as they are used for an unholy, abominable ritual. Yeah, it's kind of fun that way. Basically, if you leave the maze, you are then locked into a stasis crypt that is equal parts science and magic to keep you sealed. The story concludes that this is the 11th time they have sent people into the maze, taking over 1,100 years to conclude this ritual. They have 11 of the most powerful and worshipped champions of the Sons of Malice that now are locked in these magic coffins that slowly begin to disintegrate and destroy their bodies in as painful a way as humanly possible. This ritual concludes with whatever essence is stolen from these individuals, whatever is burned away, either creates, opens a portal, or just somehow brings Malice into this world, which is kind of crazy because it ends with the shadow of a massive monstrosity being cast in the room inside of the labyrinth. We don't know if this is a greater demon or just Malice as a whole, but for some reason it's just there. So this ritual took over 1,000 years to do, and it took so much effort, which is why it's very disappointing that we don't know if it got retconned, as the Sons of Malice in the most recent story where they were fighting Cadians did not have a moment where they just said, fuck it, unleash a literal god, because they didn't do that. I mean, it could have just been a greater demon, but even still, having a greater demon of such a unique make and model is so kind of important, it sounds, but again, GW doesn't want to mess with the canon more than they already do for the main storyline, but you know, is what it is. But in general, that is all we know about Malice, the fifth god of chaos in 40k. As in AOS, there is another fifth chaos god, as I mentioned earlier, and he's the god of rats and Skaven, which is the great horned rat, and is also really cool. But regardless, I want to know what you think about Malice, as personally, I would have loved to make a warband of the Sons of Malice if their paint scheme wasn't so fucking hard to do, bro. Painting white is tough. Painting white next to black is a nightmare. If you've ever had to do it before and you're not that good at painting, you know exactly what I mean. One mess up and you're spending the next 10 minutes painting over the little black stripe to make it disappear under the white, and then you, it's so, I'm getting lost here. I'm angry and hateful, but yeah, comment down below what you think of Malice, or any of the Chaos Gods. I don't know who I should cover next, as I think that's all of the Chaos Gods of 40k. I could cover more obscure Chaos shits, but as it stands, I think this will be it for now. Alongside that, remember to like and subscribe, as it helps me out immensely. And special thanks to my channel members for supporting me, because with your help, I'm able to get this work done easier, and I do have big plans for the channel, so thanks. If you want to support the channel, as well as gain access to videos early, and even additional videos every second week, then become a channel member today. You get 2 extra videos a month. Thanks once again for watching, and before I go, should I cover the Great Horned Rat? I don't think I should, but it would be funny if I did, though non-40k stuff tends to suffer in the algorithm, which makes me kind of sad. Not that I'm hounding for views or anything, but I really just want to earn your adoration and respect from posting my dumb bullshit, and I want to see if you guys enjoy my specific hyperfixations in rats. You probably don't. Bye.